Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah, my mother-in-law was.
right now,
I don't know what the reason. My mother-in-law was born in Germany. That's why she wanted, she'd never been, because she came here as a baby, so she'd never been to Europe before, so they get to do a lot of that.
yeah.
His first assignment was.
I would like to call to order the Guardian Prairie, Missouri Planning and Zoning Commission, May 13th, 2026. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chairs.
Debbie, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Wooldridge,
Here.
Commissioner Lamb,
Here.
Commissioner Molenkamp.
Here.
Commissioner Musler,
Right.
Commissioner Neske.
Here.
Commissioner Pollard. Here. Commissioner Northcutt is absent and Commissioner Stankovich is absent. Alderman Detweiler.
Here.
Quorum is present.
The next item on the agenda is the public comment section. And I have a pre-prepared statement. The next item on the agenda is public comment / public hearing. In recognition of the value of public comment on city issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on matters of community interest, the Planning and Zoning Commission invites residents and other interested parties to speak. Anyone wishing to speak before the commission to submit a completed speaker form to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Once your name is called, please approach the podium. To make certain that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Furthermore, no person will be permitted to speak more than once during the public comments / public hearing portion of our meeting. Please keep in mind that this is not a question and answer session. Please do not expect a response to your comments at this time. So do we have any public comments?
Not for public comment.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing for the Blue Onyx Development LLC requesting a rezoning of 6.89 acres from R1A to R1D with a planned unit development with an area plan for a 25-unit single-family residential development located at 2108 and 2128 Bates Road. I need a motion to open the public hearing. Been moved by Mr. Molenkamp. Need a second?
Second.
Who said second? Oh, it's Angela. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Kathy, you want to give the staff report first? Or do you want the applicant to talk first?
We'll have the applicant speak first. Thank you.
Okay. So the applicant can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. For the record, my name's Mike Faulkner. I'm Vice President of Sterling Engineering. The office is at 5055 New Baumgartner, St. Louis 63129. Kathy, could I get you to pull up our PowerPoint, or Matt? We have a PowerPoint presentation that we'd like to give. Again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. This is Blue Onyx's new development called Stillwater Grove. I had to go to the next one. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but this is the aerial that shows the location of the property on the east side of Bates Road, south of 364, north of the Providence subdivision. We can go to next. The site is has challenging conditions. Obviously, it has, to the north of it, it has the 364 highway. It has to the south of it existing residential attached units, and which are zoned R1A. This site is zoned R1A. Our proposed is to rezone this property to R1D with a PUD for 25 single-family detached homes. And if you go to next. The zoning for this site, to the west of the site is the Cove at Dardine, which is zoned R1D PUD. To the south of our site is the Providence subdivision, which is zoned R1D PUD. And there is a one R1 site, which is a single family home at the southwest corner of our site. This slide right here shows the existing site and also has the adjoining subdivisions along with the densities for each one of those subdivisions. As you can see on the slide, the Providence subdivision is 3.9 units to the acre. The Cove at Dardine is 2.3 units to the acre, and we'll be at 3.6 units to the acre. Now, to talk a little bit about our site. This is what our site will look like. It'll have one main street that will go through the site to the east. It'll have a large cul-de-sac. That cul-de-sac at the eastern end of this development will meet the International Fire Code requirements for a 96-foot cul-de-sac. So it'll be a large cul-de-sac. This could also accommodate for bus turnaround, even though buses will not, most of the time will not enter into a subdivision. But this cul-de-sac is sized enough to handle that. We've reached out to the fire, O'Fallon Fire. We've not been able to get any correspondence back yet from them, but we are still in the process of working to get that from them. The site will have 2 detention basins. There'll be one large detention basin, which is where Matt's cursor is right now. That'll be the main detention basin. And to the east, there'll be a small detention basin along our property line. Reason for that is the site actually has drains to that location over there. So what we didn't want to do after hearing the concerns of the residents in the neighborhood, we didn't want to take water from one area and put it in an already aggravated situation. So that's why we have another detention basin over on that location. It will be piped into the underground system of Providence subdivision. The larger basin will be discharged into the existing stream that runs through that resident to our southwest. Now, also to the north, MoDOT has a pipe that drains from their highway area that will come and discharge into our site. We will be picking that up and bypassing that water around our detention basin. Knowing the situation and the delicate conditions of that stream that's to the south of us, we're reached out to MoDOT to inquire to MoDOT to see if there's something that we could do engineering wise in their detention basin to try and either modify their detention basin via the outfall structure or whatever we could do to try and help the stormwater situation in that stream. We're limited to what we can do on site, but we looked at one of the best things to do is to reach out to MoDOT. We've reached out to your city engineer also. We'd like to include him in our meetings with MoDOT to see if they're and explore what things could be done to try and help the situation. The issue is today, not because of us. We don't we're not there. So we want to try and see what can we do to try and help mitigate that situation. The site will be sidewalks on both sides. And Rich, I apologize. There is a detail on the cover sheet that shows 4 foot, but the city's consultant had us change the sidewalks to 5 foot. So all the sidewalks that are drawn on the site are 5 foot. So that actually is, and it was just a typo that was on that section there. Go ahead and move on. This is just a detail drawing of the site. The only reason I put this slide in here is to show everybody that the lots along the southern side of our development will all be walkout basements. And to the north will all be in-grade basements. And then one other thing I want to point out is that we're also proposing to take a sidewalk off of the end of that little stub street and take it over and dead into the Twin Chimneys site over there. We'll reach out to the school district to let them know that's what we're doing, to see if they have any comments. We've not heard back yet, but that's what we're looking to do, is provide a pedestrian way for the children in this development here at easy access over to Twin Chimneys School. And then with that, this slide shows each one of our proposed home sites and how they fit unit-wise coverage on each, based on each individual unit. And if you go to the next one. This is a table that shows what the percentage is of coverage for each model on each of the lots. Based on the square footage, shows percent of coverage on each one of those homes. And you're going to notice there's a lot of NAs between 4 and 10. That is purposely done because we've heard from previous submittals, the residents in the Providence subdivision did not want to have 2-story dwelling units so that people would be looking over down towards them. That's the reason why those areas are only going to be ranch model, because we heard the residents and we're proposing no 2 stories, no 1.5 stories along those. So next slide. Here again, this slide shows the existing Providence subdivision and what their current percent of coverage is on their lots. So you can see that they well exceed the 30%. Some of them are up to 50% coverage on their lot. So we just use this to show that, you know, we are hopefully in compliance, and just to show what our neighbor actually is today. Now this slide, what we've done is we tried to demonstrate, because in May 1st, Blue Onyx had a town hall meeting here with a lot of the residents, not everybody, but a few of the residents that we had reached out when we had sent out our mailer, letting the people know when the public hearing was going to be. We inserted a document in there notifying them to contact us, that we wanted to meet with them prior to this meeting so we could hear their concerns and see if we've got an opportunity to address those concerns. One of the items is where that sanitary sewer connection was going to be. It's kind of hard to see, but you see there's a big white with some verbiage in there. That location right there is where we're going to be connecting. But we also show where the existing sewer easement. So all the easements are there in place. So this will not be outside of an easement. It will be done inside an easement, and construction will take place. And once construction is completed, that area will be returned as close to existing conditions as practical. Again, this is just a plan summary. We're 6.89 acres. We've got 0.87 acres of common ground. We're proposing 25 lots. We have about an acre of existing tree mass that will be saved, and all the streets will be private. We're proposing all the streets to be private. And what that does is there will be no cost to the city for maintenance or snow removal. So all of these homes, all these lots will have their lot lines will go to the center of the street. So they will have, the HOA will be responsible for snow maintenance and for the actual maintenance of the development. And we feel this is a definite low-density community. And now what I'd like to do is real quick is introduce Mr. Steve Valentine with Blue Onyx for him to come up and talk about the units in the model.
Thanks, Mike. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Steve Valentine with Blue Onyx, as Mike pointed out. I wanted to first of all thank everybody. Over the last several months, we've had meetings with members of the board, members of the commission, and as Mike pointed out, actually a very productive meeting with residents in the adjacent community, combined with some great communication from the staff. We think we've put together a package that has really addressed every concern that has been brought our way. So one of the things that was mentioned throughout the various meetings was they wanted to see the floor plans, what they looked like in the renderings. In a previous application, the renderings that were shown, quite frankly, were not very clear, weren't very good at demonstrating what our intention to build is. So I've got a number of slides here. I don't intend to necessarily go through every single one of them because, well, we'd be here for a while, but I want to include these all in here in case anybody did have a question, right? I also wanted to establish that just the style of home. This particular home is also, one of the other comments or questions was, where else are you going to be building this product? Presently, now we're in early clearing phases in Chesterfield on Olive and Hog Hollow, for those of you that are familiar with that area. This exact floor plan, along with the others shown here, will be built within that community as well. So Matt, you can kind of keep going through. And they're just showing, different styles of elevations that are available. Some more contemporary, some more traditional, some farmhouse style. Something a little bit more modern. Keep scrolling, Matt, please. Right, introducing some different truss systems, roof systems. You can keep going. Now, the next few pages are also kind of repetitive. They're the black and white versions of what we just looked at, but these pages include the material callouts, which sometimes people, have a question on. They want to validate what that is. So if anybody has a question, that is in the presentation. Going. This is an example. This is the floor plan for the ranch home. These are all meant to be what we a 52-foot wide lot with 7-foot side yards. This all of the plans that I'm showing you here are meant to fit on that, and so it is. My hope that I can add an additional condition to those that were already presented by staff to us, that we would amend our side yard setback for this particular community to 7 feet. I know that was mentioned earlier in the working session. It does not impact us. Our lot sizes remain, our layout remain, and all of our product fits as drawn as it exists. We had an extra foot in there anyhow, as just a tolerance situation. We like to, so we are able to actually modify that to the 7 feet. So I'd like to propose that at this time. This is the story and a half, one of our story and a half floor plans going through here. Again, the floor plan associated with it. One of the things I would want to point out, I know it was a comment in some previous floor plans that we had that were presented last year, that the board in particular was asking about the depth of the garage and ensuring that we had the depth to not only house a vehicle properly, but also have enough space for trash receptacles. So we had that overlay and drawn. These do fit a vehicle and the trash overlay, and the depth is 21.8 minimum, so almost 22 feet. So they fit, they work, and we have already looked at that just to make sure that we were addressing that concern that came up previously. Go on. This is a second story and a half model that we have. And same situation, right? The garage will again fit the vehicle and the trash receptacles. Again, just the diverse elevation offering. These really address all the different customer profiles that are out there in the marketplace today. Go on. And then this represents the various colors that will be available to the buyers to select for the particular material as it was called out on the floor plans. So as you can see, it's a very diverse offering between masonry, right, on the brick and stone, siding, shingles, shutters. We want this community to look as custom and unique as our buyers want their homes to look. This was also an item that was talked about previously. There was question whether or not we could take a connection through the community onto the outer road. We did involve city staff, the city, with this conversation with MoDOT. It is not allowed. They will not allow us to cross and connect to that outer road. So we tried. We were quite frankly hopeful. I actually wouldn't have mind having the connection point there, and I understood the reasoning for it, but MoDOT simply will not allow it. One of the other items that was of concern in past meetings and conversations was what does the distance between the structures look like? And so what we did is we cut sections right through the existing home sites as well as our proposed. And then we also kept the existing tree line in the region that was to be maintained via our clearing limits, just to demonstrate the separation that we have. This particular section is all the way at the entrance, right at the western part of the community. And as you can see, we've got we have over 60 feet here at this spot. This is consistent with the previous submission, but I still wanted to show it. And the reason why I wanted to also show it is if we keep going, Matt, beginning here, as you get down into the middle of the community, because of the modification to the roadway and the product that we were now building, we were actually able to increase the separation from structure to structure. So actually, as you progress from west to east down the street, our separation between structures improves. But you should also see, and it is included in our submission, one of the comments, and this was reinforced during our town hall meeting, was for a white 6-foot white vinyl fence to also be included along this particular area of the property, along this property line, and that is proposed and is included in our application. So the combination, and this is a region where, in particular, that ranch restriction is also in place. And so you have the combination of the tree, the fence, and the single-story home shown. This section is a different section. This is actually up adjacent to the outer road. There were some comments, questions, and concerns through various meetings in regards to what would a home constructed in this part of the community, how would the outer traffic on the outer road interface with that particular home? And what we wanted to show here is the outer road relative to where our home will be. We are actually sitting down. And then there's a large tree mass that will be maintained. It is part of the clearing limits. It is going to stay. When we look at the separation and the trees that we're going to maintain, and then the topo change from that outer road to the home, we're very comfortable with how it's going to perform. There was one particular spot that we did want to address, and I'd have to keep going, Matt. We have there it is. There we go. So if you look at that kind of northwest corner, there was a gap in the tree line. So we have robustly planted additional trees to fill in that space there in particular to make sure that we were adequately addressing that concern. Ideally, we'll build a slight berm in that area. All of this would be need to be verified through engineering. We were thinking maybe a 2-foot berm, get some trees on top of that to give it some height straight away. Another thing you can kind of see on that layout, there was a comment about landscaping. Our intention is for this particular community to be extremely well landscaped. If you look closely at the basins, they are completely screened and landscaped off. Additionally, any end cap unit that would be visible either from Bates Road, from outer roads, or from the road within the community, we've intentionally added landscape along those end caps to, again, enhance the beautification of the area, just to make sure it looks like an appealing new community here in Dardenne. Next slide, please. And this was we just had some information on density. Should, not everybody is familiar with what the various calculations look like and the type of product. So we included some stuff in there. Next slide. Same thing relative to, again, that outer road and the interface to the homes being constructed. Some of as research has borne out, some of the best items for us, obviously specifically light, is getting some good robust planting in that area, and in particular, they name particular species that is recommended to achieve those goals. So we've listed those here, and our intention is to work with staff and make sure that our landscaping plan best supports that. One of the another item that was a question was, what does the team within the company look like? Last year, that team was much smaller team. The intention was more of a GC approach. Fast forward to today, we have a leadership team that alone has 150 years of experience building homes. We've built over thousands of units here in the Metro St. Louis market with resumes that come from Payne, Pulte, McKelvey, Lombardo, and all the major builders here in the market. So while there might be some questions about what the label is on the business card, the people behind it and the expertise that we bring to bear is quite significant. And there's bios and resumes on several of us included in here for anybody who would like to peruse it. It's in here. You can keep going. And then one of the last questions, if you keep going, Matt, I have a section in here, was what other areas are you building in? Where are those communities going to be? So our next 3 community, so this list is some most recent clients that Blue Onyx has developed for. And there's the particular locations of those. But more importantly, if you keep going, Matt, starting here, from here through the end of the presentation are all local projects. This particular one is Serenity Woods. It's 127 lots in Wright City. Phase 1 is complete. Fisher Homes is buying lots in it currently. This is Hillcrest. This is down in Benton, Jefferson County, Missouri. We'll be building townhomes and villas down here at this particular project. This is almost done with clearing, and we'll be getting into the grading work in about a week. That's an example of the product that would be built there, as well as these two slides here are the townhome product that will be built at Hillcrest. This next site is the Overlook. This is the Chesterfield project. Again, we're in the clearing phases for this particular project. This is a combination of single-family homes and upscale townhomes. So this is 24 townhomes and 35 single-family homes. These are some of the elevations that will be available on the townhomes in Chesterfield. And that one already has the same elevations as we've already shown for Stillwater. So I didn't include those again because they're the same. And then the last one here is Old Willow Estates. It's a 14-lot community in Lake St. Louis, right off of Orp Road, right across the street from the Archdiocese ground, for those of you that are familiar. Scroll down is an example of some of the, just a couple of the elevations that will be selling at that location. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. All right, Kathy, you want to give the staff report?
Well, skip the project summary since I think there's been a pretty comprehensive job on that. So the 2020 comprehensive plan vision designates the project site as villa residential in the future land use map. So as proposed, the detached single family units would comply with the 2020 comp plan, which envisioned villa residential use based on adjacent uses. The proposed development would be complementary to the surrounding single-family homes to the west and south of the project site. The applicant is requesting a PUD to allow deviations from the standard requirements. There was a summary report included, table included. Basically, there is a deviation from the minimum lot area. The required is 12,000 square foot, and they're proposing, what they're proposing ranges from 7,800 square feet to 17,147 square feet. The minimum lot width is 80 foot at the building line, and that ranges from 52 to 94.5. The maximum lot coverage is not to exceed 30%, and they're at 34. And then the minimum yard setbacks, it's 25 for the front, 10 for the side, and 25 for the rear. And their minimum setback on the side yard is 6. As he stated, the sidewalks are in compliance. They are 5 feet wide. Let's see if I have any other. There were a number of conditions recommended related to this project. 9 recommended in the staff report. A recommendation that the side elevations of the homes on lots 1, 3, 4, 11, 13, 14, 20, and 25, which are visible from the public street or an open space, should be architecturally enhanced to the satisfaction of the city administrator prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. I think they would probably want to do that sooner. They don't want to wait till occupancy to find out it doesn't meet the city administrator's satisfaction. I think it should also include lot 21. When you look at the plans, I think that was missed because it's also visible from the street. The homes, as was stated on lots 4 through 10, should be single story, excuse me. Prior to occupancy of any residence, all existing wire fencing on the property should be completely removed. We do need to see a lighting plan, and exterior lighting should follow the requirements listed under our municipal code section 405.450. Permanent monuments should be installed throughout the community, again, following municipal code, this section 410.280, and reviewed by the city engineer. All open spaces identified in the approved area plan, in which are to remain in private ownership shall permanently remain as open space and shall be properly maintained. All invasive plant species present on the property shall be removed prior to the occupancy of any residence. And then, all landscaping material should follow the city's process and has the guarantees appropriate and should be in good health, et cetera. And all of those elements, the trees, the shrubs, fences, walls, and other landscaping materials approved by the city should be considered as elements of the project and maintained as such. And then basically summarize what the staff recommendations were related to the development.
Thank you. At this point, do we have anybody from the public that wants to speak?
We do. Karen Wagner.
My name's Karen Wagner and I'm at 703 Thayer. And I will be backing up to the detention pond, biggest detention pond. So my biggest concern for the whole development is the water. As he stated, MoDOT's water goes under 364 and it dumps out onto that current property now. And it eventually makes its way behind my house in a creek that is a dry creek, but it's not designed for all of the water that is going down there. When I moved there 20 years ago, I could step across the creek and it's now this deep. Now, it doesn't have water in it, but it's still, that's how much it's going out. So that is my main concern. MoDOT's water, I was told MoDOT's water could not be rediverted to a detention pond. So I don't know how it's going to end up down behind my house. So that's my main concern. I also want to make sure that if there's any damage done to the wall that is existing there now, that is probably 10 feet wall, that any damage done from grading, that maybe even if an engineer would look at it to make sure that damage hasn't been done because of the grading of the property, because those homeowners are responsible for that wall. If a fence is required, we would like it to be possible a maintenance-free fence. If it's a vinyl fencing, it's got to be maintained and power washed, and that should be their HOA's responsibility, not the homeowners who are going to be looking at it now. So if that would certainly, I would hope, add to the privacy and the sound barrier from the 364 noise that we get now. And also the sanitary sewer is behind my house. And so when they connect to that, just so that they would repair any damage or replace any plantings that I have back there, because I have it the way I want it now. And I know they will come in with a backhoe and dig it up, but if that could be replaced again. And if there is a big concrete culvert, if that could somehow be at least minimize the look of it, maybe landscaping around it or whatever needs to be done. And my other concern is all the wildlife that's back there. And not everybody cares about that, but there's,
Your time's up.
okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Sherry Mitchell.
Was also concerned about, the water coming from Stillwater down to, the Providence area on the right side. Karen's was on the left side we were talking about. This is the opposite end, but it's still against that wall there. He said there was gonna be a pipe come down there, the water come into that. Is that gonna be sewer water? Is that gonna be, where's that coming from? And is that gonna mess up what we have? Because that's the problem. Something else that I was looking at when you showed the pictures up here of the ranch homes that are right behind there. It looked like to me that some of them touched, and maybe I misunderstood. I don't know, maybe that was the 10 feet you were talking about, but it looked like they were like almost butting up against each other, and you can, you know, look at that if you'd like to. I have a suggestion. I was talking with somebody less than an hour before the,
Sure. Could you speak into the microphone?
oh,
please?
okay, sure. I was talking to somebody over, less than an hour before the meeting started tonight. And they said that there was a problem with, when Best Buy was built in St. Peter's, that there was a wall in that area. And after it was built, it was a very big problem. They had to take it out. So that might need to be researched because I don't know what happened. I just only found out that a few minutes ago before the meeting. And so I don't know if it fell down, but I know they said it took over $1 million to take it down. And if that's an issue, that should certainly not be Providence's problem, but that might need to be researched out before anything is done over there. That is the request I have. See. Okay, is Providence responsible for that water that, excuse me, that water that comes down on the right side that I was talking about? You know, whose problem is that? If there's a problem there, if the pipes aren't big enough. And this gentleman here told us a lot about that he could change pipes different places, but I don't know if that's one of them. So, did you understand my question? Okay, okay. If not, you can ask, but thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
No other
Anybody else?
speakers.
Okay. Commission members. Anybody have any questions, comments that you'd like to ask? Angela?
Yes. In looking at the project plan here proposed, it just seems that 6 feet between lot sizes it seems cramped, even as a drawing. So I'm trying to picture that as actual living space. And 6 feet just seems to be, and it's not in compliance with the zoning standards. What would it be to make it the required 10 feet? Instead of 25. It just seems like it's a little bit too cramped, especially between 14 and 20 and between 4 and 13. So pretty much 80% of your proposed plan here. They're very squished together.
So is your question?
My question is how much would,
Side yard?
yes, the side yard
From
setbacks?
6 to 10.
Yes. Right, to meet the ordinance, how much would it take to,
So I already offered previously that as it exists, we could accept the 7. To go to 10, we would go look at it. There's a good chance that the impact is too much on the financial side of this project with the number of units that we gone in conjunction with the cost of development for this particular project. I don't know if you recall, the previous submission actually had
28,
at 28, and they were attached villas,
right,
and then
right.
that was.
Paul? Fine. All right, I've got a couple, questions. I'll start with the, single story, but also then the second story. You have a lot of peaks and they look pretty steep. I'm not a construction guy, but just visually, it looked very steep. At the top of the peak, how tall is the, two-story?
35 feet. I'm not sure exactly what the difference. Around 30 feet maybe.
And then how wide is the house?
Depends on the house, but anywhere from 36.
I'm not an architect. So I don't want to offend whoever the architect in this group is.
That would be Kurt.
But I've got two comments. One is that it seems that the width and the height don't seem in proportion. Maybe in your world it does, but it seems like they're awful high for the width. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you got a lot of little peaks in the front, and you've got a lot of materials at the front side. Up to 3, I think even 4 different types of materials showing in your drawings here. You've got brick, you've got some sort of concrete square thing, and you've got shingles.
Shake, yeah.
Yeah,
Shake.
Shake, thank you. Is that typical to have that much material in the
So
horizontal and the vertical?
I'll answer and I'll allow Kurt to answer, but typically in a more premium neighborhood, I have more materials, more diversification, more customization. And where I'm trying to control my price point and keep them down and low, I'll go with, all siding or maybe 2 materials at the most.
I'm not saying go all with siding, but I mean, it just seems to be awful busy, But we don't have any particular architectural standard. I'm just making a general comment.
Again, and just speaking from experience relative to the other builders that we've all represented, right? At our most premium communities, you offer a diverse elevation material offering to the customer. When it's actually constructed and you're driving through that community, the streetscape is dramatically improved and it appears much more custom when you execute it that way. But if there was, some limitation that, you wanted them to appear less custom, and we could talk about that, but
I just had to ask the question.
fair enough.
My experience is that that's up to you. You've got a variety of housing types in there. What was your motivation to put that contemporary or modern look in with all of these?
Well, if I'm being honest, it's a generation that's younger than me. We're trying to, those looks are. Take it for what you will. I'm much closer to you. I think your era than I am the buyer that this
So it's market
really,
driven.
it's market driven, correct?
My last question is that looking at your stormwater plan and looking at the total pre-development Q15, it was 1189. Post, it's 1599, so that's an increase of 4.1. So I'm assuming that that's saying that there is a 4 something differential of water coming out of the site. Correct?
I'm going to defer to the engineer on that one.
Well, I'm not an engineer either. That's why the question sounds so disjointed.
Fair enough. I don't want to answer. I got the expert right here.
Actually, we did a study on the site. I had that included in our slide presentation, but we were a little concerned that it, that a little more technical, that, people would think differently of it. But in actuality, we are going to be actually less because what we did is we looked at the site right now, today, what is the post or the area in the far eastern side? It's actually two watersheds. One watershed that goes to the far east of the site, and then one that kind of heads towards the middle of the site. This is all the water today that's going down to the Providence subdivision. And just to give you some of the technical, right now I've got 1.32 acres in one area. And then to the other side, I've got roughly about an acre going to that area. After we're done, it's going to be 0.3 acres of overland flow towards them. So what we're doing is to demonstrate that that water is going to be picked up, piped underground, and put in the detention basin. So what they have today could be greatly reduced overland flow, which is the water that they see today, will be picked up with underground system and piped to those detention basins.
So is this number that I was discussing, is that a combination of the two?
Yes.
So let's talk about the larger one.
Yes.
When that water comes out of that outlet structure, or whatever it does, will it be less flow than what there is now?
It'll be detained. Yes, there
I mean,
will
it'll
be
be
less
detained,
flow
but-
during a,
You're not increasing the velocity coming out.
we're going to hold that water within that basin,
So
which
the
is,
timing will be different. The same water will be coming
Yeah.
out, or actually more. But it'll be at a better timed.
yeah, which is what the detention basin's for,
Okay.
is to withhold during the storm event, to let the storm event go, and then meter that water out. And like I mentioned in beginning of my presentation, we've reached out to MoDOT because a lot of the issues that are there today is due to move MoDOT and their water from the highway department.
Mhm.
We're going to try, along with your city engineer, to try and meet with MoDOT and see if there's something we can do that can help mitigate that. I don't know what that is. You know, their stormwater basin, the outfall structure, can we modify that outfall structure to withhold it? Because or MoDOT, they design their detention basins at a 50-year storm event. Can we bring it up to a 100-year event? What could we do to do that? So those are kind of things that we're going to try and look at with MoDOT, with your city engineer, to try and see what there that we can help. Because here again, we're limited in our basin to what we can do because we have to take care of our own site. And this is an off-site condition. We're willing to try and do that to see what can happen. And if I could answer the one ladies that came up and spoke to concern on the eastern side, that basin, there's an existing underground system there today. We're going to tap into it with our storm sewer. Their storm sewers were designed to handle this water, and that's why we're going to put a basin in there. So we'll pick up that water, we'll hold it, and then discharge it into their storm system.
Well,
Their
and
system
that was
does
going
it.
to be my next question to you, because that east basin and that connection, that all feeds into a detention basin that is maintained by the Villas of Providence.
Mhm.
So what impact is that going to have on that basin?
Shouldn't really have that big of an impact because we're going to be withholding our impervious water in our basin there. So we're going to be holding that water back.
How deep,
So
how deep is that basin?
I believe that basin's only going to be about 4 foot deep.
Okay.
It's not really going to be that deep. It's not a big watershed, but we felt it was necessary because of the stormwater concerns that Providence has.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions for the cause? All righty, with that being said, need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Lamb moved, Pollard second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All righty. The next item on the agenda is the Missouri Siding requesting a rezoning of 2355 Post Road from R1B to C1 with us. With a CUP? No, no CUP.
It was advertised as with the CUP and then they withdrew it after it was already advertised, which is why it's figured you could explain it.
All right, need a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Moved by Neske and second by Mollenkamp. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, I need the applicant to come forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you everyone for listening to me today. So we're looking at moving 2355 Post Road to a C1. So have been developing that house, cosmetically, making it really nice. So what we do is we own a siding company, all for new commercial siding, all residential that's in our city and in our county. So we're looking to just the house, secretary there and stuff like that. There's not gonna be deliveries there. There's not gonna be a warehouse there. It's mainly gonna be just for office related activity. And so what we're trying to do is just get it commercialized so we can run our business out of that area. And there's not gonna be, a whole bunch of traffic coming in, traffic coming out or anything like that. We do realize we are going to have to get the rezoning approved. Once the rezoning is approved, we'll have to get the variance because we are at 0.94 of an acre. And I understand that you guys are at 1 acre for the rezoning of it. So we would have to get a variance for that. And we would be more than happy to do whatever we need to do that.
Kathy? Need the staff report?
As the applicant stated, the request is for a rezoning from R1B Single Family Residential to C1 Local Commercial for a siding company office operation. The main house is used for office space, and there's a question on the garage, I know, and what that's currently being used for, or you're intending to use it for. So if you don't mind answering that.
Absolutely. So it's only used for our tools. We have a couple things and tools in there, but mainly it's just for storage. That's it. It's not going to be storage any of our materials or anything like that. It's mainly just for extra tools and stuff like that.
Thank you. As the applicant stated, it's our understanding that there would be no regular customer traffic on site. However, owner and employees would be present at times during normal business hours. And a nephew of the owner currently resides in the home, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And yeah, so we're not going to have people coming in and out of there at all. It would just be our employees coming in, grabbing some things or whatever that we need for the job site and then going to, leaving. But we would have a secretary there, 9 to 5, basically Monday through Friday. Other than that, it would just be, one person stopping in, checking reports or whatever, and then, taking off to our job sites that are, in St. Charles County.
Staff was informed the business has been operating since I think maybe February without the appropriate zoning approval or business license. They weren't aware they needed a rezoning in order to operate the business there. In that time, the city has not received any complaints related to the operation of the business specifically. And staff did not receive any objections or comments from the 22 notified properties within the 300 feet. The proposed uses generally consisted with permitted business office uses allowed in the C1 district. And the main zoning issue is that the applicant did address is that C1 requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre and the subject property is only 0.94 acres. So the applicant would need an approved variance before final Board of Aldermen action. And that would be one of the conditions we would recommend on the planning and zoning's recommendation. We did, staff has identified that the application was incomplete with regard to a scaled location map. A boundary survey was submitted in place of a legal description. And we would want to see those two things, either if the commission needs to see them in order to review this, then so be it, or the board would need those before they considered final approval. The property is surrounded entirely by residential zoning, so the commission may wish to consider the compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood and the potential precedent for future commercial encroachment. He's, I think, addressed parking and traffic impacts, which are not anticipated to be a problem based on their current use. Staff's recommendation is that any recommendation from planning and zoning be subject to conditions, including, and I have more formal language we can adopt, but in summary, approval of the variance, submission of the missing application materials, it would be limited to office use only, no retail or customer traffic, no outdoor storage of materials, and any future expansions or changes would require additional city review. And then obviously we need them to obtain a proper business license once they have the variance and the zoning in place.
Thank you. Is there anybody that has public comments?
Elizabeth Motley.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Motlick, and I live at 37 Heatherwood Court. My property is directly across Post Road from the proposed rezoning site. I have some concerns about this. I believe that we need a balance of commercial and residential properties in Darden Prairie, and there are other properties that are currently available that are already zoned as commercial properties, just right down here on Highway N. I think that turning residential properties into commercial properties when there are existing commercial properties available does not bode well for a balance in Darden Prairie in the future. The rezoning, I am under the impression that a parking lot will be installed on this property. I believe that this does open up this area to further commercial development. And the variance being in contradiction with current codes, I feel like that's an additional problem when it's surrounded by a residential area. The impact on wildlife. We have a lot of wild animals in this area, and if we're building a parking lot, it's going to displace some of those animals. And like we have wild turkeys, armadillos, bunnies, all kinds of stuff, deer. And I also feel like it will have a negative impact on the property values of the properties that are directly facing that area, because a lot of those properties, mine in particular, were purchased in large part due to the natural environment surroundings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just note that property address is not located in the city of Darden Prairie. It's located within the city of O'Fallon city limits.
Can I comment on that? We are not
No.
building a parking lot.
Your comments are done right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Mark Moreland.
I just want to state my concern about the residents. This may, and my concerns about enforcement. So you've got a company that's been running for several months. No enforcement of that. I'm concerned about setting precedents of bypassing residents, commercial and resident zoning requirements. Getting this done without any kind of a study on traffic. Any other rules that may be bypassed? For example, off-road parking. Does it require asphalt, concrete? I drive by there every day. I do not think anybody lives there. I've never seen anybody there at night or on the weekend. So just be cognizant of setting a precedence of somebody coming your next door and running a business out of it. So that's all.
Thank you.
Michael Daly.
Yeah, I live directly downhill and behind the
Can you
property.
speak up, please?
Sorry. I live directly downhill from the property and behind it. And on the positive side, yeah, I think the property is being maintained in good condition and landscaped. I was not aware the business had been operating without official licenses or permits. That is a concern. The owner, I did speak to the owner and they're committed, they said they're committed to maintaining the natural space that is on the property. That's a good thing. My main concern about parking is any impermeable surface. The runoff definitely needs to be contained because that site already does run off onto my property and the adjoining property when it's really rainy. And so that's my main concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other speakers.
Okay. Commission members. Anybody have any comments? Questions? Okay.
Was pointed out that it's not compatible surrounding area.
Pam, do you have your microphone on, please? You could speak into it.
Yeah. I agree with some of the comments that it's not compatible with the surrounding area. I do think it sets a precedent, and I also think we have some precedents of something very similar to this that we did not approve very recently. And I don't think it's consistent with the plan that we've worked for well over a year to develop.
I agree. It doesn't. Think of it the comprehensive plan.
Angela.
I also agree with my fellow commissioners that it's not in keeping with what our comprehensive plan that we've been talking about for the last year. And it's not, I don't believe it's a good mix of residential and commercial in that particular space.
I concur. You have any to say?
I have no comment.
Okay. I have one question of staff. Does the zoning code require any type of landscaping between commercial and residential? I would normally look that up, but it just came to mind. You know, some sort of buffer. I know that there's a requirement for transition strips and so forth as it relates to parking.
Yes, there are some requirements related to planting within parking and vehicular use areas.
So that would have been all, or would have been part of a proper submittal as it relates to the site plan and so forth that they were supposed to have submitted.
Correct. The transition strip requirements on any lot in a commercial or industrial district that abuts a lot in a residential district shall be provided a transition strip, and there is certain requirements related to that. Plant screen consisting of compact evergreen plants that will provide an effective screen. A 6-foot 6 to 8 foot high screen wall or fence may be required. I know it is on one side of the property, I believe it is treed, and wooded. I don't know about the back or the other side. I can't speak to that specifically.
Okay. No other comments? Need a motion to close the public hearing? Been moved by Mollenkamp. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, the third public hearing for the evening. Proposed amendments to section 405-175 and 405-180 of the municipal code, including but not limited to revisions to the R-M multiple family residential district regulations related to permitted and conditional uses, density, minimum lot size, building height, yard and setback requirements, architectural standards, and related development regulations. Additional amendments to the C1 local commercial district to address the allowance of single family and multiple family dwellings through a planned unit development process and associated density provisions. Need a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Musler and second by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. I think we've kind of discussed this and kind of beat it to death over the last 2 or 3 months. We talked about it in the work session. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add to the discussion on this before we vote on it? Okay, need a motion to, no, I need to have public comment.
There are no public comment requested.
Okay. So, Neil, thank you, Paul. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll second that.
Been moved by Musler and seconded by Neske. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, moving on to approval of the minutes of the regular session of April 8th. Anybody have any corrections or comments about the minutes?
Where did I put it?
I've got one, but it was at the beginning of the minutes. First sentence, it says call and it should be called. And that's it. Need a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Muslim, seconded by Mollenkamp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. I don't think we have any communications for the commission, so let's move on to new business. And that is the Blue Onyx Development LLC rezoning of 6.89 acres from R1A to R1D with a PUD for a 25-unit single-family residential development located at 2108 and 2128 Bates Road. Do the commissioners have any other comments or questions that they want to add to this?
Did I understand it correctly that they will get from 6 to 7 foot?
We can make that a condition.
On the fact that I thought that was okay.
Correct. You can move it to 7 feet, right?
I'm not sure I understood that.
All right. Yes, sir.
I don't know what else we can ask of this developer. I think he's done everything we've asked him to. I think the plan is much improved from what we've seen before and could move on. That's my comment.
Okay. John, quick question. We've got two pieces of new business related to this. One is the area plan and one is the rezoning with the PUD. Any conditions that we enter into our motion, should they come under the area plan or the rezoning?
They should apply to the area plan because that's where the specific criteria will be applied.
All right. All right, so then we need a motion to recommend either approval or denial of the rezoning and the plan unit development. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
It's been moved by Musler. Need a second.
Second.
Second by Pollard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. All right, so it was all in favor except for Lamb. Okay. The next item is the Blue Onyx Development LLC area plan for 25 units, single family, excuse me, residential development located at 2108 and 2128 Bates Road. Any other further comments, questions? If nobody minds, I'll make the motion with conditions and you can add anything you want. So we'll need a motion to, or I'll move that we recommend approval of the area plan with the following conditions. One, that condition one is they have to comply with items 1 through 9 in the staff report, that they comply with section 405 250B of the zoning code to the city engineer's satisfaction regarding the necessary easements for the stormwater and sanitary. And this is predicated on the area plan dated on the plans of April 3rd, 2026. That they incorporate the 7-foot side yard. And that at the completion of this, the wall of the affected homes, the retaining wall, be checked for any damage or degradation based upon the construction that took place. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's the motion. So I need a second. Okay, so it's been seconded by Molenkamp. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's carried. So that will go to the Board of Aldermen next week with a recommendation of approval. All right, the next item on the agenda is the Missouri siding rezoning of 2355 Post Road from R1B to C1. Anybody else have any comments, critiques, criticisms, comments?
Criticisms?
Let's strike that one. Strike that one.
The door. I would just say that it's not in conformance with our comprehensive plan.
Right.
It seems totally inappropriate to me, so I'll be voting against that.
Okay. John? Should the motion be a recommendation of approval with conditions, or can it be a recommendation of denial?
If it's the desire of the Planning and Zoning Commission to recommend denial, a motion to recommend denial would be appropriate.
And if. All right. So I need a motion from somebody.
I'll make a motion.
Recommend denial.
I'll second.
Okay. Moved by Mullenkamp and seconded by Pollard to recommend denial of the application for rezoning. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. This will, where's the applicant? I guess. He left. All right, a big surprise. Okay. The last item for consideration is the amendments to section 405-175 and 405-180 of the municipal code, including the RM multiple family residential district with additional amendments to C1 local commercial district to address the allowance of single family and multiple family dwellings through a planned unit development process and associated density provisions. Any comments? Okay, need a motion to recommend either approval or denial of the amendments. I'll move that we recommend approval.
I second.
All right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this will be on the agenda for next week, which means that we met the 1-year deadline.
Good job.
All right, we have no old business, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Nesky. And seconded by Liam, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we are finished. Thank you for your attendance.
I have a question now that we're adjourned. Can I ask the city attorney something? But I wanted you to hear it as well, because your condition was for a check on the wall upon completion. And that's fine, and we can live with that. I would like to, before it goes to the board, add, we actually have an initial inspection and one at completion. 'Cause I want to make sure that wall's in good standing when we start. And I think that's, I just don't know what procedurally I would have to do now that that's what it was written that way and it was approved that way. And I'd like to.
Could they just go into the meeting and say they want a pre and post inspection at the meeting?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna impact the actual motion. It's just the procedures of how we implement that, and we can establish the baseline standards for that inspection.
And we would involve.
Yeah,
city
no,
staff.
absolutely, yeah. I understand. I had the same thought when I was thinking about it, so I agree.
Little like.
No, I'm sorry.
Is this?
I was the lone.
All righty, everybody. He moved in and over. Yes, ma'am. That's what you mean. Yeah. In my 5th year. Congratulations. Goodbye.